What is presidential impeachment? Impeachment is a trial without a judge or jury or prosecutor, but instead politicians accuse, prosecute, and stand in judgment of another politician. In impeachment proceedings, the House of Representatives is the investigator and the prosecutor. The Senate is the judge and the jury. It takes 67 votes to convict and only 34 to acquit. We've had exactly 2 impeachments, both of which resulted in acquittals. Andrew Johnson was impeached for actions that were really more political at the time than criminal. And of course, President Clinton was the last president impeached. He was charged with perjury and obstruction. When the Senate impeaches and removes a judge, they're just removing one person's appointed official. When the Senate impeaches and removes a president, they're undoing the votes of millions. There's a lot of debate about what is an impeachable offense. The Constitution says treason, bribery, and high crimes and misdemeanors. In other parts of the Constitution, like the arrest clause, the framers list treason, felony, or breach of the peace. In the extradition clause, they list treason, felony, or any other crime. The framers knew what kind of language they were using. If they intended for the president to be removed for any crime at all, they would have put that in the text.
There was also a funny exchange towards the end with Senator Kamala Harris comparing President Trump, who she spoke about a lot. She really did try to prosecute a case against him last night. She compared Trump at one point to the Wizard of Oz. Listen.
He reminds me of that guy in the Wizard of Oz. You know, when you pull back the curtain, it's a really small dude.
Okay. I'm not even going to take the bait, Senator Harris.
So a kind of a lighthearted moment. It seems she was making a point, not about his stature, but about sort of his approach to the issues. And but it was still a funny moment.
Back now, Reliable Sources. I'm Brian Stelter. We are talking about this Ukraine scandal, the president's handling of the matter, his smearing of this whistleblower, and this mystery still at the heart of the story. What did the whistleblower hear? What did the whistleblower allege? Let's bring the panel in now. Political and business strategist Tara Dowdell, who, by the way, was an apprentice contestant way back in the day, a national correspondent for the Washington Post, Philip Bump, and national security advisor under Obama, now a CNN national security analyst, Samantha Vinograd. There's been a lot from the Joe Biden campaign this week. They've been trying to figure out how to respond to this mess, these questions about Hunter Biden. Let's look first at the beginning of what happened with Biden on the campaign trail, asked by Fox's Peter Doocy a question about his son. Watch.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
Well, that seems very, very hard to believe. Obviously, a father's going to talk to his son about the business. But let's continue here. Here's how Biden continued to talk to the Fox reporter. Watch.
Here's what I know. I know Trump deserves to be investigated. You should be asking him the question. Why is he on the phone with a foreign leader, trying to intimidate a foreign leader? If that's what happened. That appears what happened. You should be looking at Trump. Ask the right question.
Ask the right question. This has become a chant of sorts on social media. Biden supporters loved this moment. Samantha, do you think he has a point?
Well, Brian, I'm not part of the Biden campaign. I do work at the Biden Institute at the University of Delaware, and I think he does have a point. There is a series of false equivalencies probably purposefully being set up by the Trump team, by Rudy Giuliani, and perhaps by some members of the media. There's a blitzkrieg of bad behavior that we're learning about because of the dogged reporting of members of the media right now associated with the Trump team and their actions through Rudy Giuliani and potentially by the president himself. It's hard to keep track of the potential abuses of power that the president engaged in, and the fact that Rudy Giuliani went to Ukraine and really demoted our national security team by working with the Ukrainian government to try to get dirt on Vice President Biden. Any wrongdoing by Vice President Biden has been looked at by the Ukrainian authorities and may potentially be looked at further within the United States. But that is very different, again, than the myriad potential abuses of power that are being outlined by the media because the whistleblower complaint is not being forwarded to Congress. And we cannot fall into the trap of falling for President Trump's false equivalencies. He does it whenever he's under pressure. He mixes apples and oranges so that we get distracted from the real story, and we have to be more clear-eyed than that.
The Biden campaign is out with a memo this weekend trying to diffuse this story. Here's a part of what the memo says at the end, addressing the press. It says, any article that doesn't demonstrably say at the outset that there's no factual basis for Trump's claims is misleading readers and viewers. That's the message from the campaign. But Tara, as a PR strategist, is the campaign doing enough? Look, I asked a spokesperson to come on this program, speak today. They declined. Biden has never sat down for a Sunday show interview all year long. I wonder if they're doing enough to combat Trump.
Well, first of all, the Trump strategy, and you talked about it, and you talked about it, Brian, as well, is deny, deflect, distract, attack. We have now moved into the attack phase. So their strategy is now to try to put the onus on Joe Biden to, in fact, distract and attack. And so I think that Joe Biden's campaign does need to be aggressive. I think they could be even more aggressive. And I think you will see them be more aggressive because they know what is going on here. I think what you're seeing in terms of this pause is them really sitting down to try to come up with a plan, understanding that what this strategy is and to make sure that they respond effectively and more aggressively.
That's interesting.
And you're seeing that escalation of more aggressive response. And so I think you'll continue to see that.